Do you ever wish you were never born? No, really. Think. Have you ever just sat down and thought, why did my parents think it was a good idea to bring me here? Ever hear somebody say, life is good? Or better yet, anybody ever tell you that you should be grateful to be alive? The question is life really good? I would argue no. And that actually, it's quite dreadful. Hello, my name is Aaron, and you're watching Analyzing with Aaron. On this channel, we are going to analyze various controversial subjects to help us gain more clarity, insight, and understanding of the reality we are facing in our daily lives. In this episode, entitled Stop Having Children, Debunking the Life is Good myth, we are going to explore the issue of reproduction, or procreation, or breeding, for all my freaky porn watchers out there.
I want you to breed my whole.
We are going to delve into why it is not only harmful and immoral, but also why it's the worst thing that anyone could possibly do. Okay, so for my first subject in our analysis, we are going to deal with the issue of consent. And just so we're all on the same page, let's briefly go over the dictionary definition of the word. Consent is defined as permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't give anyone permission to bring my black ass onto this godforsaken planet. There was no agreement. I didn't sign no damn permission slip. So then you might say, well, of course, Aaron, get a load of this guy. Of course you didn't consent. You didn't even exist at the time. To which I would say, yes, that's my point. If I'm not here to say yes, the answer is no by default. Oh, but you weren't home when I came by, so I just let myself in. That's called breaking and motherfucking entering. Oh, but you weren't here and I really need to use your car. You don't mind, do you? Grand Theft Auto Vice City, bitch.
It's no good.
The answer is no. But for some reason, when it comes to having a baby, suddenly we don't understand the concept of consent anymore. I mean, just imagine, right? You have somebody in a coma. And while this person is in that unconscious state, another person decides that they want to engage in sexual intercourse with that person in the coma. We would be outraged. Well, okay, maybe not all of us. But I think most of us would be livid. Why? Because somebody took it upon themselves to make a decision for somebody that did not have the cognitive ability to make that decision for themselves. Sound familiar? Now you might say, Aaron, that's not fair. This is a false equivalence. You are comparing a horrid act like sexual assault on an incapacitated person to the miracle in beauty of bringing forth life into the world. Listen, if you think bringing forth life into this world is beautiful, you're just delusional. I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to hurt your feelings, but come on. Now, of course, you're going to come back at me like, wow, really? Delusional? That's kind of harsh. Why would you say such a thing? Okay. Well, I'll tell you why. This is actually a perfect segue into our next subject in our analysis. The state of the world. How long is it going to take for us to understand and accept that this world has never, nor will it ever be a fit or safe world to raise children in? For centuries upon centuries, we have witnessed destruction, suffering, and violence. I mean, recorded history alone should be enough to persuade you not to have kids, never mind what's still going on today. But let's go back. Slavery, for example. The transatlantic slave trade, where millions of people were snatched from their homes, put on ships to be sold into chattel slavery, where they lived their lives in terror and captivity. And in some parts of the world, slavery is still going on. What about the horrors of the Holocaust? Nazi Germany. Again, millions of people taken from their homes, shipped off to concentration camps, thrown into ovens and gas chambers. Are you serious? What about all the wars that have taken place? World War I, World War II, the Civil War, the Gulf War, the wars in Afghanistan, wars that are still going on to this very day, the Russia-Ukraine war. Iraq and Ukraine didn't even do anything and still war ensued. How are you going to explain that to your child? That they can be bombed even without their country's provocation? Can we talk about all the genocides? The genocide of the Native Americans, the Armenian genocide, the Rwandan genocide, the genocide in Yemen still going on to this very moment. Millions of soldiers and civilians have been slaughtered. Yes, men, women, children, babies dead. Let's keep going. Viruses and disease, cancer, diabetes, the bubonic plague, polio, Ebola, HIV, AIDS, COVID-19. COVID came and wiped out millions in the span of months and counting. I mean, people just dropping left and right all around us, and we're just supposed to smile? Top of the morning to you, lad. No. Hell no. People always ask me, Aaron, why are you so negative? Ugh, why are you so negative? Why are you this way? Ugh. And I always have to explain to them that I'm not being negative. I'm just being realistic. Open a goddamn book. Turn on the news. Step outside even. I'm just telling the truth. Pretending like everything is okay does not make you a positive person. Anyway, let's keep going on with the negativity. Natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes. How about the natural disasters exacerbated by climate change? We are already witnessing the polar ice caps melting at daunting speeds, contributing to rising sea levels, drought, wildfires, water supplies drying up leading to wars over resources, mass migration due to some places being too hot to habitate, islands underwater, coasts underwater. Where are our children going to live? How are they going to eat or drink? Yeah. I know, Aaron. I know. But I was in Target the other day and I saw this onesie. Oh my God, you're not going to believe it. Look. It says, Daddy's #1 fan. 50% off. You don't understand, Aaron. You don't understand the feeling I'm going to get when I see this little being I created wear a piece of clothing that glorifies me or my partner. No, I don't understand. This ain't Build-A-Bear Workshop. We're not playing with Barbie dolls. These are real flesh and blood humans we're dealing with. Every so many seconds, somebody's murdered. Every so many seconds, somebody is raped. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 5 women in the United States experienced completed or attempted rape during their lifetime, and nearly a quarter of men in the U.S. experienced some form of contact sexual violence in their lifetime. We constantly have to watch out for human and sex trafficking. We need alarms, locks, and cameras for everything. Our houses, if you even have a home, right? Shout out to the millions living under bridges and sleeping in tents. But we also need them for our cars and our businesses. We need to go through TSA to board a plane. We need security guards, the local police, state police, the National Guard, the military, even the police. The people we pay and count on to protect us are required to wear body cameras because we can't even trust them half the time. Imagine bringing a child into a world that needs that much security. You would think that might be a red flag, no? Okay. Can't even send your children to school without worrying if your child's going to return home. I mean, who really even wants to go to school? I wouldn't. I don't want to go to school. Yes, it's true. Remember that song? I don't want to get shot in the face again. What the hell do you think Nat was talking about? Did you not see what happened at Columbine?
A total of 15 people are believed to have died here, 12 students, 1 faculty member, and the 2 young killers.
Or Sandy Hook?
The worst grade school shooting in U.S. history, at least 27 dead, 20 children, 7 adults, including the principal.
Or Parkland?
Moments later, crews killing 17 students and staff.
Oh my God!
I would seriously like to sit down with people that want to be parents and be like, okay, so none of this rings a bell. I mean, what do you think? That your child will be exempt? Do you think that your child is special or something? Are your children better than the kids that were murdered in Uvalde, Texas? You know for sure they're not going to meet the same fate? I don't get it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm being insensitive. Aaron. You're pouring salt. Aaron, you're pouring salt into the wounds of these parents that are grieving. You're victim blaming. Listen, he's victim blaming. That's what he's doing. That's what you're doing. You're victim blaming. Listen, I understand the grief. Trust me, I understand the grief and the pain. But the parent is not the victim. The child whose last moments was looking down the barrel of a gun is the victim. Tell me this. What percentage chance would you consider acceptable when it comes to the possibility of losing your child to a school shooting or any incident for that matter? If I have any professors watching this video, I want you to ask your class this question. If somebody told you that there was a 10% chance that your child would be brutally murdered or raped, would you still birth that child? And here's a follow-up I want you to ask them. Do you think that you should have the moral authority to make that decision and take that chance on behalf of your child? And if they're still confused by the question, maybe let's rephrase it a little bit. If somebody said there's about a 5% chance that your 8-year-old child will be kidnapped and have a grown man's penis shoved up her vulva or down your son's throat, by a show of hands, who's taking that chance? Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it could be a 1% chance, a 0.5% chance. I'm not taking it. Why? Because it's not my chance to take. This isn't my life. It isn't just the NRA that's complicit in your child's death. You, the parent, are also complicit because you knew there was a chance and you took it anyways. It isn't gun control that we need. I mean, sure, we need that. But what we really need is birth control. And unfortunately, some of you have already paid the price for taking that chance, haven't you? And it doesn't even have to be murder or rape. It can just be an accident, right? We all saw what happened to Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. I mean, can you imagine the horror that little girl must have felt in those last moments as they plummeted to their deaths in that helicopter? And imagine how Kobe must have felt looking into the eyes of his daughter. Not just the terror and fear, but also the guilt he must have felt, knowing he brought her into this world and now he's watching her die a painful, agonizing death, all because he and his wife Vanessa made the decision to procreate. And Vanessa has to live on with that guilt. Listen, yesterday it was Kobe and Gianna. Tomorrow it could be your child and you. Or maybe even, dare I say it, Jay and Blue. Rest in peace, Kobe. Rest in peace, Gianna. Listen, my point is the state of the world is in shambles. I don't know how a sane person would want to bring somebody here. I don't even know how anybody would want to stay in a place like this, which leads us to our third and final subject in our analysis, suicide. Did you know suicide is one of the leading causes of death? Suicide rates are even higher than homicide rates, which means people are not waiting to be killed anymore. Some people are like, hey, listen, just give me the gun. You're taking too damn long. I'll do it my damn self. And I think we can all agree that the people that committed suicide never would have consented to this shit in the first place. These people aren't or weren't mentally ill. These people aren't cowardly. I would argue that those that have taken their lives, or at least contemplated doing so, are the most logical and strongest among us. Why is it so far-fetched to believe someone can completely lose it living in a place like this? Luckily, there are a few places in the world where suicide is legal. Yes, places like Belgium and Switzerland. You know, places that actually believe in freedom and body autonomy. And not just suicide for terminally ill patients. I'm talking about you just woke up on a Tuesday morning and just decided to end it all. And while I think it's nice that we have a month dedicated to suicide prevention, I believe we should also have a month dedicated to suicide assistance. And actually, you know what? Scratch that. It doesn't even have to be another month. Let's just split this shit down the middle. Okay, so for the first half of the month, we can focus on suicide prevention. However, the moment the clock strikes 12 on September 15th, clock strikes upon the hour and the sun begins to fade. Yes, Whitney. The moment September 15th comes around, we should be switching shit up and start talking about suicide assistance. Look, I just wish people would stop acting like everybody wants to live or that life is the only option. No, suicide is also an option, and we should start making it so that people don't have to sit in their car inhaling car exhaust or hang themselves or jump off a bridge to end their life. Let people die with dignity and support in the comfortable, confines of a doctor's office. Let people die with grace and acceptance of that most fatal decision. I was watching a documentary the other day on Apple TV called Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. It's about the life of pop star Selena Gomez. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, her. Anyway, in this documentary, there's this scene where Selena is reflecting on a time when she had a psychotic break and was admitted into like a psych hospital. And while she's in the hospital, she completely blows up on her mother. She basically tells her mom she doesn't want anything to do with her. I mean, completely explodes on her. So the next day, the mother, Mandy is her name, tells Selena what happened. And get this. She tells Selena, "It's okay. I know that wasn't the real you talking." And at this point, I'm like yelling at the TV screen, like, "Oh my goodness, yes, it was the real you talking." And then Mandy goes on to tell Selena that her and her stepdad will never, ever give up on her. Oh, how sweet. And then Selena apologizes and says that they probably should have given up on her, as if she was the one in the wrong. And I'm just like, no, mija, no. No, what are you doing? That was the real you. You have every right to be upset with your mother. She pimped you out to Barney when you were like 5 and you've been working ever since. Why do you think you have suicidal ideation, lupus and anxiety and panic attacks and depression? She was supposed to protect you and she left you to the wolves. That's why you were yelling at your mom, sweetheart. Look, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but it appeared to me that this psychotic break brought about a moment of clarity for Selena. Watch the documentary. Her mother takes zero accountability. These people around her have gaslighted her so much, she can't even differentiate between what is real and what's not real. Selena, your parents did you wrong. And you were absolutely justified in your condemnation of her. One day, you're just going to have to admit that you're in the same boat as Jeanette McCurdy and the Sprouse brothers. I'm sorry to break it to you. I mean, I guess we're all in the same boat, but you're definitely in the same child star room on that boat for sure. So anyway, to sum all this up, when it comes to suicide, I'm pro-choice. Some of you claim to be pro-choice, but you couldn't possibly be pro-choice. No, Aaron, really, I am. I'm pro-choice, but just when it comes to, childbirth, how are you pro-choice if the baby don't have a choice in the matter? How does that make sense? Make that make sense. And these pro-lifers, man, they're not even pro good life. They're pro get your ass here and suffer like the rest of us life. Listen, to those of you that are cutting yourself or on psych medication, I see you. We hear, I get it. Those of you addicted to narcotics, shooting up, getting high, getting wasted, trying to just make it through, I see you. You're not crazy. You're not lazy. You're not weak. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to be depressed and anxiety ridden in a world like this. You don't have a disorder. You're living in disorder. Don't let anybody ever tell you there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with this society. There's something wrong with this world. Listen, my point is, if you're not anxious, if you're not depressed, you're not living in reality. But then again, what is reality, right? Which leads us to the next part of the video I like to call the psychological breakdown. Okay, this portion of the video is dedicated to analyzing why we engage in the behavior we engage in. This may be contrary to popular belief at this point, but I really don't want this video to come off as bashing parents. I myself at one point also wanted to become a biological parent, so I get it. Anybody could go down this path. And why is that? Well, first of all, it's primal instinct, right? The drive to procreate and reproduce is a primal, primitive urge that is hardwired into us. The problem with that, though, is that there's no morality or rationality connected to this urge. I'm personally of the belief that our final stage of evolution is when the human being finally accepts that reproducing is immoral. We as humans, unlike other animals, have the cognitive ability to make rational and moral decisions. Now, I'm not saying that we can't still have sex. I'm not saying that. Listen, I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. No. Just as long as the person you're bumping and grinding with is of legal age, okay? But what I'm saying is, if you're going to do it responsibly. Use contraceptives. Wear a condom. There's so many forms of birth control. We have developed technology that can help us if it is utilized properly. Go get a vasectomy. And if it comes down to it, if need be, go and get that abortion, sweetheart. Go and get that abortion. Listen, you save lives by not creating them in the first place. Next on our psychological breakdown, we have culture. Birthdays are a good example of how culture affects us. Think about it. If somebody put a cake and presents in front of you every year of your life, especially your young, formative, and more malleable years, it's going to have a huge effect on your psyche. Our subconscious mind connects the dots. Birth, cake. Birth, snacks. Birth, gifts. Birth, fun. That's how our brains work, by association. Think of all the attention you get. Some people you barely even talk to come out of nowhere and hit you up on your birthday, right? With all these good feelings attached to your birth, of course it's something you're going to hold near and dear. That's why I think we should get rid of birthdays and replace it with an appreciation day for your loved one. So instead of saying happy birthday, you'd say happy Aaron Day or happy Jungkook Day, right? God, I love me some Jungkook. Ooh. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ooh. Jungkook can get it every day of the week. But I digress. But seriously, everybody should have their own day and hold it on a different day not associated with your birth. Think about it. If you usually have a winter birthday but prefer a summer birthday, here's your chance. And vice versa. And don't get me started on Mother's Day and Father's Day. What do you think happens when you see somebody being praised and honored just for being a parent? It incentivizes people. I mean, I can remember going to school and having art class and them having us make Mother's and Father's Day cards to take home to bring to our parents. That's brainwashing. There's no honor in being a parent. These holidays need to be abolished. It's not an accomplishment. Whoop-de-doo, you birthed children into a world filled with racism and homophobia. Congratulations. I mean, we might as well give a holiday to people like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer while we're at it. Yeah, they were serial killers, but it's the parents that keep supplying these killers with more people to kill. It's the parents that keep perpetuating this endless cycle of suffering and agony. But you know what? Come to think of it, we kind of already do have holidays for serial killers, right? Like Columbus Day and President's Day. So never mind. Anyway, let's move on. And lastly, on our psychological breakdown, we have mindless platitudes and affirmations we see plastered everywhere. And you already know what I'm talking about. Come on, say it with me. Live, laugh, love, right? Everywhere. Or the mug on your desk that reads, life is good. If you get enough of this type of messaging, it will stick. It's the constant indoctrination and programming that makes us believe something that isn't real, which then allows us to compartmentalize and go on with our everyday lives, living in our little bubbles, ignoring the screams and cries all around us. So in conclusion, childbirth is child endangerment. And all I have to say is, you better hope and pray that your children never figure out the reality of the situation here. Better pray that they never fully grasp the reality of the world you brought them into. Here, come on, I'll pray with you. Bow your heads. Our dead-be Father, that art thou in heaven, disgraced be thy name. Because if you really want to talk about bad parenting, if that invisible guy in the sky is real, he's the worst parent that has ever existed, bar none. And if he is real, you can bet he's a fucking Shinigami. Listen, I would say that life is a gamble, but at least with a gamble, there's a chance of winning, right? There's no winning in this life. It doesn't matter. You can be the richest, most successful, no health problems, conventionally beautiful person living their best life. And still, you wouldn't be winning. Why? Because you have to share this world with billions of suffering people, most of which live in extreme poverty. And unless you're a psychopath that is able to block out the needs of others, you'll never truly be happy. You'll just have to keep pretending, continue faking it, but you're never really gonna make it. Like I said, you better hope these kids don't figure it out. If I were you, I'd buy them that game system they've been asking for so they can turn it on and escape from the nightmare you brought them into. Because if they ever truly find out what you did, all hell is going to break loose. You know, one day little Johnny might come to you and say, Daddy, if you have the right to bring me here, does that mean I have the right to take your ass out? And to that, I would say, please don't stoop to their level, children. Do not stoop to their level. I believe that the definition of a good person, or at least one of the definitions, is that if you are ever confronted with the choice or opportunity to inflict violence on your abuser, accept that it is an imminent situation of self-defense, of course, that you will choose mercy. So instead, the next time they ask you to do the dishes, just look at them and say, look, I didn't ask to be here. So how about you do your own damn dishes? Or next time you complain that something isn't fair and your mother goes, well, life isn't fair. Your retort should be, well, if you knew life wasn't fair, why did you bring me here? But whatever you do, please don't choose violence. You must remember the psychological breakdown. Your parents are just brainwashed, acting on primal instinct, deeply influenced by culture and unfounded platitudes. There is redemption for parents, but only for parents that embrace the anti-reproduction movement. Look, listen, this is an assignment I'm giving to all parents. Listen, okay? Gather your children around, no matter what age, and apologize to each and every one of them for bringing them here. And pledge your undying devotion and servitude to them from now on. Children, don't ever let these people make you think they did you a favor by bringing you here. They brought you into hell. We did not consent to be here, so one can make the argument that our entire existence began with an act that is on the same level as rape. The state of the world has always been in shambles, so your parents can't make the argument that they didn't know. And of course, when it comes to suicide, none of us had the chance to make the decision to be brought into this world. So at least give us the freedom to take ourselves out. I know some of you must be just shaking your head like, oh my God, wow, Aaron, wow. So you really have no hope, huh? I mean, not even a little? And to that, I would say, of course I have no hope. Hope for your damn self. The only hope I have is J-Hope. That's about it. Oh God, I love me some J-Hope. He's our only hope. Listen, and I swear, if anything happens to my J-Hope, somebody better send me a one-way ticket to Switzerland because I'm done. But seriously, I concluded with this plea. Join us anti-reproducers. Let's end humanity once and for all. Not with force, but with empathy and compassion. Of course, I know that there's a 0% chance that this is ever going to happen, right? Humans are way too selfish and self-absorbed to ever follow through on something of this magnitude. It's much more likely that civilization will end due to climate change, nuclear war, or an asteroid or something like that. But I hope a good amount of us will make that decision so we can get the ball rolling at least, because the only way we will ever attain world peace is if we finally accept that this world can only ever find peace when we cease to exist. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Analyzing with Aaron. If you enjoyed it or found, any value in this video in any way, please consider donating to my Patreon and becoming a patron. And plus, you'll have access to bonus content you won't find on here. Oh, and don't forget to add anything I missed in the comments below. What other reasons can you think of for why we shouldn't have children? And until next time, please take care of yourself and take care of each other. Remember, all for one and one for all. Be the one to end your family's generational curse. Peace.